You saw the title of this video, and we're going to talk about my tips and advice for you if you are planning on moving to a new country. People move to new countries for numerous reasons. You might be moving for love. You might be moving for studies. You might be moving for better job opportunities, or just out of curiosity, or because you are tired of where you live and you simply need a change. For whatever reason, you will have to prepare yourself before the big move. And so I thought that these tips and advice that I have would be quite useful for you, especially if you are getting ready to move soon. Make sure that you go down this list and you create your own checklist and you tick off everything so that when the day comes for you to move, you are solid, ready to go, without hassle, without stress, without anxiety. You guys forgive me. I keep switching around because I'm hiding from the sun, okay? Hello friends, it's your girl Djena. Welcome back to another video. I just want to ask you to subscribe to my channel. I see in my analytics that many people are watching my videos now. It's picking up. You guys, thank you so much. However, some people are still not subscribed. So if you wouldn't mind, it would really help me out a lot and I'll be forever grateful. A little caveat here. I think these tips are mainly for before you move to a new country. I think I will have to do another video on when you are in the new country, but let's get into it. My first tip for you guys is to research everything you possibly can about the country that you plan on moving to. You don't want to go to a country willy-nilly without knowing the rules and regulations of that country. You want to know laws. Well, obviously you don't have to know like every law, but like imagine moving to Dubai and they have like specific rules when it comes to alcohol and to what you wear and things like that. You want to know that before moving to the country. Research what life is like in that country, what work opportunities are like in that country, how the health system works in that country. For example, living in Holland, I had to have health insurance. In America, you also have to have health insurance. Living here in the UK, they have a free national health system here, NHS. If you are eligible for NHS, you have free healthcare. You can always get private healthcare here in the UK as well. But having the option to go to the hospital and not have to worry about, let me see your insurance papers, it's beautiful. Because when I was living in America, it wasn't like that. Let me be the one to say, okay? Nowadays, there's vast information online. You have places like Reddit where you can go and read people's comments on anything and everything. So make sure you do your research. Research about the language there. If the language is different to yours, make sure you start to learn basic terms that are going to be really useful for you when you're there, like hospital, bank account, I need help, how do I get to the right, to the left, the numbers. Start getting an idea, start getting acquainted with these terms, with these words, so that when you're there, you're asking for help and someone is not able to communicate with you in your language, at least you already have some sort of knowledge about those words and you can navigate through a bit easier. My next piece of advice, see if you know anyone in that country, and if you do, will they be able to host you while you're there? Whether it's for a short period of time or for a longer time. I've been able to move around a lot because I have people to host me in these places. My third tip, you need to have shmoney. You cannot move to a new country without money. I mean, you could if you're like single and you can just backpack your way through life and just crash here and there and everywhere. You can do that with very small money, very small pocket money. But if you're trying to be responsible and you know that, you're going to struggle to share spaces with other people, you're going to need money. A move is never cheap, is never small. You're going to need money for transportation, for food, for rent, for down payments on a new place, for the moves, for anything and everything. You're going to need money. So make sure you have saved up a little bit of capital, a little bit of cushioning, so that when you go to where you're going to, because first of all, I don't know if you're going somewhere that requires you to have a visa, you already have to start paying for visas. You need to pay for this, you need to pay for that, you need to pay for this. You have to save up money. You can't just wake up today and say, you know what? I'm moving and I only got $150 in my bank account and that's it. But where you're going, you require a visa and the visa is $80. And then what happens? Start prepping yourself, maybe take a second job and whatever you make from that job, you put it into a separate bank account and you know that that's for your funds for your move. Or start saving a certain percentage of your pay, especially if you have kids. Moving with kids is so expensive. Like, I think when I moved when I was younger and I was moving by myself, I was able to do the move with like $200 in my pocket, because I knew that, okay, I'm gonna go somewhere, I'm gonna work, I'll make money, and I'll be able to pay rent. But when you're moving with kids, girl, make sure you have your capital ready. My third tip is see if you can find work before you move. A lot of countries advertise job positions internationally. I know the UK right now is searching for nurses and medical staff, and they're putting the search worldwide because they're in desperate need of workers. And so that's always an opportunity to move to the UK, and I'm very sure that other countries are doing the same. So just look for work beforehand. Otherwise, set your mindset that when you get to that country, first things first is find work. Everything else is second. The money has to flow, unless you got it like that. And unlike me, unless you're calling me broke without calling me broke, you know, and you can move and you don't have to worry about money. Okay. My fifth tip is to update your medical history. Update your medical status. If you know you're planning on moving, I think a couple of months before you move, you need to go get a checkup. You know, get that full body checkup. Get your teeth checked up. Get your eyes checked up. Get everything checked up, because you don't know what your situation is going to be in the country that you're moving to. You don't know if their medical care is as good as the country that you're already in. Also, you don't want to move and then on your move find out that maybe you have something serious. So I think it's always good to plan ahead and to armor yourself, in a sense, with a clean bill of health. I think it's important for you to check if the country that you're going to requires like certain vaccinations. You know, we've experienced COVID, and we saw that during COVID, if you wanted to go to places like America and other, you know, fancy places, you needed to have the COVID vaccine. It might be that you're going to a country where kids need to have certain vaccinations, to a country that requires like the yellow fever vaccine. Whatever the case may be, find out what is required of you before you go to the country. Tip number 6 would be to have your documents in order. You want to make sure your passport is not getting ready to expire the month before you travel. Your ID cards are all in date. Your children's documents are in date. That's very important, because oftentimes I find a lot of people are up to date on their documents, but then they forget their children's documents. And then at the last minute, you have a situation on your hands, then you're requesting like emergency travel documents from your embassy. Okay. Make sure you have all of that in place and ready to go before you move, and give yourself a good amount of time before, so that if it requires 12 weeks for your documents to come in, or if it requires whatever, then you're able to wait that long. Okay, don't start taking care of your passport a month before you travel, because you never know. They can expedite it and have it ready for you really quickly, and they might not. Make sure you're up to date with your documents. Make sure you have everything that you're going to need. You don't want to go to the country that you're going to and then realize, I needed this, I needed that, and now someone has to send it to you. I mean, it's not impossible, they can send it to you, but it's better to be prepared, you know? He who fails to plan, plans to fail. You know the saying, right? My 7th tip is to research about your embassy in the host country that you plan on going to. For me, I needed to know exactly where the Portuguese embassy was, because my nationality is Portuguese. So when I came to England, I needed to know exactly where the Portuguese embassies are. There's a Portuguese embassy in London. There's a Portuguese embassy in Manchester. Then I asked around to see which embassy is easier to deal with. I find that if I want to take care of a document, like if I want to get a new passport or if I want to get whatever, sometimes it's easier to buy a ticket and hop over to Portugal for like a couple of days, and you do your passport. You can do the express passport that is done in one day, and you can do your ID card express as well. So just have an idea of how your embassy, how your local embassy operates in that country. If you're moving somewhere, where's your nearest embassy in case of an emergency? Tip number 8 is to downsize. I mean, if you are well off financially, or if you have saved up sufficient funds, your capital is looking nice, your cushion is cushioning, and you're able to move all of your stuff from one country to the other, then that's beautiful. But if you're not, you're gonna have to downsize. So see what is important for you, what is priority for you, and everything that you haven't used in so long, that you haven't thought about in so long, let it go, because it's only gonna weigh you down. When you get to the new country, you're probably gonna adapt to the lifestyle there, to the fashion sense there, to everything, and you might not even use these things that you're lugging around with. So you're just carrying extra weight for no reason. Selling things is a good way to downsize, because then you get a little bit more money that you can add to your capital. You can give things away, Goodwill and secondhand shops. You can gift friends who need things that you have. Just mentalize yourself that you're gonna have to let go of a lot of things, or put everything in a van and go with it. If you've moved, let me know what you've done. Were you able to transport all of your things to your next location, or did you have to let go of a lot of things? I had to let go of a lot of things, and it hurts me till this day, because I'm like, bro, like, do you know how hard I had to work for that? Now I'm at a stage where it's just like, it is what it is. In the spirit of mentalizing, I think my tip number 9 would be to prepare yourself mentally, in the sense that no move is ever easy. I mean, you can go to your dream country and the novelty wears out. The novelty wears off after a certain amount of time. So you might get lonely when you're there. You might get down. You're gonna get homesick. Tell yourself, when I get there, I know that I'm gonna need to make friends. I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time with myself. Be comfortable with your own company, especially if you don't have kids. Because if you have kids, they help you. They help distract you from this, and so you don't feel that empty space as much. But when you're on your own, it's easy for you to get anxious or overwhelmed with the fact that you are in a brand new territory and you don't have your support system physically around you. I find that a lot of people move to new countries to get away from problems that they had, problems with someone or problems within themselves, or someone did something to them and they haven't healed, and they think that going to a brand new place, seeing different people, it's going to erase those problems. And baby, it is not going to erase anything. So if you are running away from your problems, I think that's a bit, I don't want to say it's silly, but because I kind of did that one time in my life. I ran away from problems and they still caught up to me. So I think it is cheaper to pay a therapist and get therapy than to relocate to a new country. So think about why you want to move somewhere. If you're running away from something, maybe the best thing to do is to deal with that thing head first, and perhaps you won't even need to move, because what if you really like the place that you are? And finally, my last tip number 10, is to not forget the miscellaneous things, you guys. And I think that this happens so much, whether you're just traveling somewhere on vacation or whether you're moving. Make sure you have a first aid kit. Make sure you have adapters. It's crazy how this little thing is so overlooked. And I've traveled so much that I can come and tell you, guys, make sure you have adapters when you're moving, especially if you're someone that's very tech inclined. You have laptops, you have phones, you have tablets, you have whatever. Have adapters for everything, okay? Make sure you know what kind of payment methods you're going to require for that country. And I say that because when I lived in Holland, I was banking with Ian Hay, ING, the orange bank, and the card that they gave us, it was an Electron, but it wasn't like MasterCard, which is recognized everywhere in the world. So I remember traveling, the first time I traveled with that card, I was so limited on what I could and could not do with the card. I couldn't just go anywhere and make payments. I think I had to go to like cash machines and withdraw cash. So know what kind of currency method you have in place. Make sure that your card can be used everywhere. For us in Europe, Monzo and Revolut are quite popular. Another thing that I think also goes amiss sometimes is the importance of a good bag that is spacious, that you can fit a lot of things into, especially your important things. Make sure you stack up on your preferred painkillers. Make sure you have like all the medicine that your kids are going to need. If you're someone that wears contacts, like I'm wearing contacts right now, if I'm traveling, if I'm moving somewhere, one of the first things I'm going to do is stack up on my contacts. Maybe I'll have like 3 months worth of contacts to take with me, because I don't know when or how, or maybe if I like the ophthalmology system there. Is that the word for eye care? Make sure you have backup retainers, because what if you break a retainer? Just prepare yourself, do due diligence, have everything ready to go. And there you have it, you guys. Those are my 10 tips for someone wanting to move to a new country. I hope this information has been useful. If you are planning on moving, I hope everything happens very smoothly for you, very successfully, and life is smiling your way. Let me know any other tips that you might have added to this list. You know, have you moved? What other tips would you suggest for anyone else that's wanting to move? So with that said, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you found this video useful. I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Take care of yourselves.